After the release of Final Fight 3 on the SNES, Capcom really didn't do too much with the series for a number of years. However, the Final Fight cast of characters would make cameo appearances throughout a number of Capcom games, and in some cases would be selectable characters. In the original Final Fight game, it was mentioned that Mayor Mike Hagar was formerly a pro wrestler. In 1993, Capcom released Saturday Night Slam Masters in the arcade. The game included Mike Macho Hagar as one of the selectable characters in the game. This allowed gamers for the first time to see their favorite mayor from Metro City do some wrestling. His daughter Jessica could also be seen from time to time, helping Mike celebrate when he won a match. There are two takes on when this game actually takes place. The Japanese version of the game sets the timeline for this game before Mike becomes mayor of Metro City. The American version states Mike was the former mayor of Metro City, which would mean this game takes place after Final Fight. Mike does look a little bit younger in this game than he does in Final Fight, so I'm going to side with the Japanese version. This title was also ported to the SNES and Genesis. Hagar also appeared in the game's arcade sequel, Ring of Destruction Slam Masters 2. In 1995, Street Fighter Alpha was released. The title featured both Guy and Mad Gear Gang boss Saddam from Final Fight as a selectable character. Both of the characters were given the ability to do their special moves from Final Fight, as well as additional ones. In 1996, Street Fighter Alpha 2 was released, which again included Saddam and Guy. In addition, Mad Gear Gang boss Rolento was also added to this title. Street Fighter Alpha 3 in 1998 included Final Fight hero Cody as a selectable character. The game gave us an update on what happened with Cody after the events of Final Fight 1. It appears Cody pretty much turned to a life of crime due to frustrations of, well, being bored after the Mad Gear Gang was defeated. So instead of buying a Super Nintendo or something, he decided to choose crime as an outlet. One additional note about the Alpha series is that some of the Final Fight characters can also be seen in the stage backgrounds, just chilling watching the fights. In 1997, during its second and final season on the USA Network, the Street Fighter cartoon series had an episode based on the Final Fight series. The episode featured Cody and Guy teaming up with Ken and Ryu to take on Mad Gear Gang thugs and save Cody's girlfriend Jessica. Characters such as Hagar, Rolento, Saddam, Andor, and others make an appearance in the episode. The episode is probably one of the more memorable from the series, since it was based on the Final Fight game and contained dumb muscleheads,
"Where's my Jessica?"
bad Hispanic accents,
You are, huh? Well, get ready for this!
a Ken who looked like Peter Criss from Kiss,
Hey, we want to join the Mad Gears.
and probably one of my favorite laugh out loud clips.
Don't give in, Dad. It's against everything you've ever taught me.
This alone warrants the purchase of this series on DVD. Also in 1997, Street Fighter 3 The New Generation was released in the arcades. Its upgraded title, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, added a few more characters to the game, one of them being Hugo. Hugo is modeled after the Andor family of characters from the Final Fight game. While it's never been 100% on the record that Hugo is indeed part of the giant Andor family, some seem to accept that he is. Another interesting point to mention is that Poison is also featured in the game as Hugo's manager, and can be seen in the beginning and end of Hugo's matches. In 1999, an arcade game titled Final Fight Revenge was released. In 2000, it was ported to the Sega Saturn in Japan only. This title was a 3D fighter, similar to that of the Street Fighter EX titles, and was comprised of characters from the first Final Fight game. Taking place between Final Fight 1 and Street Fighter Alpha 3, the game's story simply has the Mad Gear Gang trying to regain power in Metro City. Hagar, Cody, Guy, and many baddies from the Mad Gear Gang are selectable characters in the title. The game really wasn't that good, even by the year 2000 standards. It was also not only Capcom's last official release on the Saturn, but one of the last games to be released for the Saturn. One thing to note, that the Andor character in this game looks very similar to Hugo from Street Fighter 3, supporting the theory that Hugo is indeed part of the Andor family. More recently, an attempt at a fully 3D-based beat-em-up Final Fight game was made, with Final Fight Streetwise released both for the PS2 and Xbox in 2006. The game continues with the Final Fight storyline and takes place many years after the 3 Final Fight games on the SNES. The title featured Cody's younger brother Kyle as the main character. Cody is taken away by some gang members, so Kyle decides to go after them and get his brother back. Kyle, who spends his nights as a street fighter, later finds out that his older brother Cody has apparently become a druggie and is addicted to a new drug called Glow. While the primary story mode is a single-player experience, the arcade mode of the game, like its predecessor, is a 2-player beat-em-up. In this mode, series vets Cody, Hagar, and Guy are featured as playable characters in the game. The game's graphics were nothing special, but its soundtrack is filled with tracks from popular bands such as Slipknot, Soulfly, and Fear Factory. The game is notoriously labeled as a bad game. I, for one, actually kind of enjoy playing it. Controls are not that great, the graphics are a little bland, and the camera is kind of wonky. However, because it was a Final Fight game, I was compelled to play it, and in my opinion, it really isn't as bad as everybody labels it. I wouldn't classify it as a horrible game, but definitely not a great game either. The best I can describe this game is that it's okay. It has a similar Shenmue Yakuza-esque style of gameplay, which I do enjoy. Plus, the game is pretty violent. There's tons of swearing.
You think I like sitting on the sidelines like a bitch?
Fighting. A porno theater.
How you doing, man?
And cutscenes like this in the game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh yeah. No, don't ignore them.
For anyone who's into the Final Fight series, I definitely recommend at the very least giving the game a shot, as you can find it in stores for like under $13 now. Even though the original Final Fight game is 20 years old, it has aged beautifully. With tons of ports of the game on classic home consoles and even some really well-made PC ports, no one should have trouble locating this game. The original arcade version was also released on Capcom's Classics Volume 1 for the PS2 and Xbox. A version of this collection, titled Capcom Classics Collection Remix, is also available on the PSP. Final Fight will always remain a staple not only in the arcade scene, but in the entire beat-em-up genre. It brought amazing graphics, sound, and action that to this day remain one of the greatest executed video games in history. It inspired Capcom and other companies to make a slew of beat-em-up action-style games, in the same vein as Final Fight. So much, in fact, it arguably caused the saturation of the genre, both in arcades and at home, which in turn may have caused the genre to die out a little. Whether you've never played any of the games in the series, or are a longtime fan, there's still a ton of fun to be had in this great and memorable series. So pop in your favorite Final Fight game, pick up your controller, take a seat, and get to busting some heads.